Have you ever looked at a photo and thought, wow, that just feels right? Well, that's not an accident, it's composition. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to improve, mastering composition is one of the fastest ways to level up your photography and video skills. And today I'm breaking down 7 powerful composition techniques that will instantly make your images more visually appealing. And trust me, these aren't just random rules. They've tried and tested methods that artists and photographers have been using for centuries. Make sure you stick around to the end because the last technique I'm going to show you is the most powerful, and it's hidden in nature, art, and even in the human body. Alright, let's go. G'day friends, if you don't know me, my name is Brett and I'm a real estate photographer with 15 years of experience, but I've also had a camera in my hand my whole life. So, first up is the rule of thirds. This is probably the most well-known composition technique, and for good reason. So imagine breaking your frame into 9 equal parts with 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines. By placing your subject along those lines, or at the points where they intersect, you can create a balanced and natural looking composition. It looks like this. As you can see, it's basically a tic-tac-toe grid where you've got these lines going vertical and horizontal when where they intersect. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine you're at the beach during sunset and you want to capture that perfect shot. Instead of placing the horizon dead center, you can align it with the lower third of the frame, letting the sky fill most of the image. Then you could position a lone surfer on one of the vertical lines, creating a dynamic and visually pleasing shot. And that small shift makes the photo feel more intentional and natural. And yes, all the techniques I'm talking about in this video all work for video as well. Now where's the lid? Found it, other side of the room. Probably shouldn't have spat that out. Next we've got the diagonal composition, and this is all about using diagonal lines to create movement and energy in your shot. Our eyes naturally follow lines, and by using diagonals you can guide your viewer's gaze across the image. For example, in landscape photography, a path leading diagonally into the frame gives the image depth. In video you can use diagonal movement to create a sense of direction, like a subject walking from one corner of the frame to another. Next up we have the pyramid composition. This one is super useful for creating stability in an image. And it's called a pyramid because your subject or subjects are arranged in a triangle or a pyramid shape, with the main focus being at the top. Think of any classic portrait compositions, one person in the center and 2 others on either side at a lower level. It gives a sense of structure and balance, making it a go-to for group photos. Now, if you're just starting out in photography, I've created a whole bunch of cheat sheets that cover all the aspects of photography that I've ever had experience in. There's a cheat sheet for landscape photography and one for long exposure photography, car photography, portrait photography, and so much more. What's great about the cheat sheets is that I tell you what settings are best for this type of photography, so you've got a starting point, and I even recommend what type of lenses to use, whether it be a wide angle or a zoom lens. And just to clarify, this cheat sheet set is not free, but it's only $5, and that's just to cover the work that I put into it. But if that's not for you, that's totally fine. If you want something for free, I also have a free ebook of 10 common photography mistakes and how to fix them. I'll put the links in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Next up is the L shape. It's a simple yet effective way to frame your subject. You use 2 strong elements, one vertical and one horizontal line, to form an L in the frame. And this helps to create a natural frame for your subject and keeps the composition interesting. A great example is imagine a tree standing tall next to a winding fence. The vertical line of the tree and the horizontal line of the fence create an L shape, and that will naturally direct the viewer's eye to a person leaning against the tree, for instance. This technique adds both structure and depth to the image, making it visually engaging. And of course it works wonders in both photography and filmmaking. Alright, moving on to the S-curve. This is a personal favourite of mine because it adds elegance and flow to an image. The S-curve is exactly what it sounds like, a natural or intentional curve in your composition that leads the eye through the frame. This could be a winding road or a river or even the way a subject poses. It creates a sense of movement and is often used in fine art photography and adds a graceful, almost hypnotic feel. Another place I use this a lot is in drone photography. You'd be surprised on how many patterns you'll see when you put your drone up there. This one I also use all the time. This is one of the best for drawing attention to your subjects. Leading lines are natural or man-made lines that point directly towards the subject in the frame. Think of train tracks, roads, fences, or even light beams. They all help guide the viewer's eye directly to where you want them to look. In video, you can also use leading lines to create strong visual flow that keeps the viewer engaged. In this shot that I took a few years ago, the pathway leads directly to the lighthouse at the end, and you can't help and follow your eye down to that point. Okay, now this is the one you've been waiting for. This is called the golden spiral. This technique is based on the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical pattern found in nature from seashells to galaxies. The Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two preceding numbers. 1, and then 2, and then 3, and 5, and 8, and 13, and so on. And when you translate that to visual form, it creates a spiral that appears repeatedly in nature and art, making it an incredibly powerful compositional tool. The golden spiral helps guide the viewer's eyes in a naturally pleasing way, leading you smoothly through the frame towards the focal point. Unlike the more rigid rule of thirds, the golden spiral creates a dynamic, flowing composition that feels organic rather than structured. Think of a crashing wave, the swirl of a sunflower, or even the curvature of a seashell, or even the spirals in a galaxy, or the swirling lines of a tree when it's cut in half. These all follow the golden spiral. In photography, you can apply this by positioning your key elements of your image alongside the curve, ensuring the most important subject is placed at the focal point of the spiral. It's been used for centuries in classical paintings, architecture, and even cinematography. You'll find the golden spiral in the works of Da Vinci, in the layout of the Parthenon, and in famous photographs that seem to have an effortless sense of balance and harmony. It may take some practice to recognise and apply, but once you start seeing it, you'll never look at composition the same way again. And of course, all of these techniques are useless if you don't actually have a camera. I've done a video right here on a great selection of budget mirrorless cameras that will get you started. See you later.